Welcome to Viewing Gods, the Explosion Network's American Gods Aftershow. I'm Dylan Blind. Joining me, the true Australian god, Nicholas Pryor.
That's me.
That's a thing now, by the way. I've officially locked it in as the...
Okay. For every show.
For every show now, yeah. You are now known as the official Australian god. You should be happy with the title, if anything, I feel.
I am.
Yeah, I thought you would be.
Kratos, watch out.
Yeah, look at you. You basically look like Kratos. Look at you. You got the beard?
It's the red face paint.
Yeah, and you're done. It's everything's solved. So this, of course, is our American Gods show where we're going to be talking about each week, each episode, breaking down the highlights, reviewing the episode, and talking about hopefully good episodes. Fingers crossed. We'll get into what we thought of this week's episode in just a sec, but in case you know, this was the premiere episode of the season. It was episode 1, season 2, is titled House on the Rock, directed by Christopher J. Byrne, written by Jesse Alexander and Neil Gaiman, who was also involved in the teleplay for this, of course, based on his book. The synopsis for this week's episode was, following the epic showdown at Easter's party, Mr. Wednesday continues his quest to pitch the case for war to the old gods. Mr. World plans revenge. Technical Boy goes on the hunt for media. So overall, what were your thoughts on the season 2 premiere episode, Nick?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't forget the word, but I feel a lot better going to it now after hearing all the
negative stuff.
The negative and drama behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm. I was also like, you know what? I enjoyed that. And of course, we gotta go over kind of the feel, I guess, is the thing. Like, as soon as I'm watching the show, I'm feeling it, and I'm like, it does look like American Gods, but it definitely doesn't feel exactly like the same person's behind the camera there. You know what I mean? Like, you can definitely feel there's a little bit of a difference, and the plot is moving a lot faster, I guess. Like, I saw the place this was moving slow, and I'm like, hold the fuck on. Did you watch season 1?
I feel that it's certainly, like, visually it looks the same, but just pacing wise and story wise, it's a little bit different. Like, they've not doing it as, I guess, subtle or not as vague. I feel like they've put a lot more exposition in, which has kind of quickened it up a little bit, which I think in a way is not a bad thing either.
Makes the show more accessible, I suppose, but at the same time, a lot of the reason I feel like I personally did like a lot of the slow, drawn out, very artistic, read into what this shot actually means, what's happening, because it was a lot of visual storytelling, of course, like last season, whereas if we're just judging off this first episode, there was no visual storytelling, and it's all just what's presented to you on the screen is you're gonna understand it. You don't need to read into what's happening at all. Whether or not they try and add some of that stuff further on in the season, yet to be seen, of course. But if you're just judging off this episode, it's just plain as day. What's on paper is what you're going to be getting. And I can't help but think, after I finished watching the episode, of like, if this was done, like if they weren't fired, like, well, how would this season have opened? And it would be completely different. It's like it probably would have opened with a short fucking film with an old god coming to America type thing, you know.
I think that was the most glaring difference for me, is not having the little snippet of backstory, which
at times were like 10 minutes of the episodes, very long portions of the episode. Whereas, watching it this way, it's like, okay, the entire episode's just with our actual characters. Like, we got them happening. We got things going on. So, I enjoyed it. I would say there are some glaring things that annoyed me, which I'll get into in just a second, which is like how they covered up the behind the scenes stuff from the show. And I don't feel like they handled that particularly well, I guess. And then also at the same time, as much as I enjoyed having everything just plain as day on the screen, and I'm like, I'll enjoy watching this show. Like, if this was the season opener of the first season and I didn't know all these characters, and that's the other thing, I'm like, you could probably jump into this from this episode, kinda. Like, obviously you're going to miss a lot of what's happened, but I feel like you could kind of just jump on at season 2 at this point, especially if you hated season 1 and the way the story was being told and stuff, and just kind of get the gist of what's happening, because they make enough one-liners of, you've got my coin, you were brought back to life, you're my bodyguard. Like, there's a lot of quick whips that kind of explain to you who the characters are and what they were. Or even just opening, because watching on Amazon Prime, it's like, I clicked on the first episode, and I don't know if it was part of the episode or it was the Amazon Prime, like, sneak, like, what happened on season 1 thing, but either way, here's what happened on season 1 went for like a minute or so. So
that's what happened with mine. I made sure I didn't accidentally click on the recap one. So
yeah, but either way, you got it. And it's just like you can watch that and probably jump in. So overall, I enjoyed it. Though. I'm happy with the premiere episode, which was good considering last week was talking about being scared and all these sorts of things. So, but my biggest problem, and the first thing we'll talk about, is the cast changes and the way they handle the cast changes, the way they handle the story things happening, and how they go about getting rid of characters and kind of moving the characters into different positions. It worked kind of at the start. Like, I didn't mind the way it opens, and I thought the way the show opened was quite funny, actually, with that person out.
I enjoyed it, yeah.
He's like some old dude or whatever. He's just out about to and play golf or whatever, and then fucking Technical Boy mows him down, and he's going across this golf course with the limo and then screaming to the fucking GPS system. He's like, I know where I'm fucking going. So that was it was a good opening, and then he opens up the door, and Mr. World's in there, and Technical Boy says something along the lines of, you look really fucked up, basically, to him, and then we move on from that. But the way it opens is fine, because of course the season 1 ending was like a big cliffhanger, like what's going to happen now? That like fucking Odin's fucking shit up, Thunder, Easter just set a famine or blight upon the world, or at least a section of America, or whatever's happening on here. Fucking Shadow just had his ex-wife who he thought was dead just show up. There was a lot of like, whoa. Can't wait to see where season 2 opens. And with the opening scene, I was like, okay, so they're not opening straight away. That's fine. As long as they kind of handle what's happening here. I was fine with this scene playing out, because it's like, okay, so Mr. World jumped in a limo, Technical Boy jumped in a limo, and they took off to
they
get
fucked
into
off
something.
Out of there,
They fucked off. So that all makes sense. And I was fine with this happening. But then they start trying to cover up some little bits of tracks and things here. So the first thing, while Mr. World's trying to get into this place, and he's trying to get access to the fucking Eyes of Argus in this bunker here.
Just a little bit of trivia. That's meant to be, they call it Blackbriar, but it's meant to be modeled after the real word Greenbrier, which is a massive golf estate, but it's also home to a massive underground bunker complex for the US government for events.
Events, in quotation marks.
Yeah.
Events.
That's why the caretaker guy goes, oh, this is meant for the president or something like that.
I did some quick Googling, because I was like, what does this paperclip mean? And it was like a term for something or other. Like that was a real thing or something, like a real operation or something along those lines, referred to as a real operation. So that was all linked in somewhat, and that's all fine. But then World turns to Technical Boy, and he's like, find her, find media. Now this is because, and the show creators and not the creators, the people running the show and whoever else, the stars, have been talking about what media's storyline will be in the season behind the scenes. So we have a little bit more information to why media's fucked off. And basically, media's fucked off because apparently she was so scared by what she saw Odin do that she's ran off. So Technical Boy now has to go find her. And when he does find her, we know that she's going to have changed her form, because she was in hiding and she wanted to, I don't know, like reinvent herself and go, no. It's like, it's very fast stretching of like trying to just explain why she changed her form. Whereas I honestly feel like it would have been a lot better to just have her change the actress and never mention it. Like, just don't even make a thing, because it's media. She can be whatever the hell she wants.
Well, how many different times did she show up looking different during the first season anyway? It was the same actress, but she was always a different voice, different costume, different kind of form kind of thing. So, yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know why they couldn't have had her just rock up and just trusted that those who were watching the show would have been like, it's media, it's fine, she's a different actress, whatever.
I think it goes along with the same kind of lines of maybe like the reason they're playing it more straight in exposition is because they they want to garner the more mainstream kind of audience, and they don't treat that kind of audience with respect, I guess.
Possible.
Like to make it more, like I said, like you said, more accessible.
But then it's like, if anyone's jumping into this season,
they're not going to know any different. Anyway.
They're not going to know any different. Yeah. So
unless
so I don't know. You could just done it either way, I guess. But and then the other cover up we get is for Christian Chenoweth, who was Easter, who of course has also disappeared this season and was set up at the end of the first season to be a very integral character. We would led to believe, like kind of kickstarting, being able to get more gods to join Wednesday in his team. And her explanation of why she's left is the worst part of the episode, as far as I'm concerned. I hated it. I didn't like the way it was told. I didn't like I don't know. It was absolutely atrocious. It's so, what's his face? Oh, fuck, I meant to blank on his name. Who's
Mr. Nancy.
Yeah. He's there, shows up at the gate when Wednesday and all that are trying to break into the place to get to the House of Rock, right? Which we'll talk about in a moment as well. And then he shows up and Wednesday's asking about what people we've got there, who's turned up, all these sorts of things. Oh, and he says, but not Easter, because she found out that you ran over some of her bunnies, so she's fucked off now. And I was like, really? Like, that's what we're going with? She found out that you ran over some bunnies, and now after everything that just happened in the season finale, she's just decided, no, gonna leave.
Peaced out.
Didn't like it.
I didn't like it, but also didn't hate it. I mean, it kind of makes sense because it portrays the gods as very fickle and egotistical and self-centered. So in a way, I guess it sort of makes sense because he's kind of offended her in some way. But yeah, like, I don't know how else they could have explained her out of it as well. Like, I can't think of any better way.
Well, the other problem is that she caused this blight.
Yeah.
Which they don't talk about once.
They do, it comes up in a news report during the show, but I guess in the same sort of thing, like, those things don't kind of worry the gods. It's not real pertinent to them, I guess.
But at the same time, it was set up at the end
of the season. It's just collateral.
It was set up at the end of the season finale. Holy shit. Look what they've just done. They show the shots of all the grass sign. They show the shot of Bilquis on the bus, and she's driving past it, and then you see like the dead fields above her and these sorts of things. So it was set up in the season finale to be this huge OMG moment for everyone in the world, or at least America or whatever, and the characters. And then she was set up as being... Well, basically, she was the first. She threw the first punch. Really,
yeah.
Is the other
in a
thing.
way, yeah.
She did that before Odin even did his whole "I am Buddha" and fucking struck thunder down. So she threw the first punch. So she's an integral character, and it's like, I don't know. Me personally, if she was being written, and I don't know, obviously I haven't read the book, so I don't really know. But if she was such an integral character to the whole thing, and just looking at it from TV standpoint, I'd view her as an integral character, having thrown that first punch. Just recast her once again. Just fucking recast her. I believe that most people who are watching this show aren't kids, right? And people can understand. It's like, okay, maybe it's weird at first episode, different actress. You move past it. It happens in movies and shows and whatever else. Even the biggest movie property in the world has recast some of its major stars across the franchise, be it the Hulk or be it fucking War Machine. So
yeah.
It's fine. Just recast her if she was in the integral part. From the book, is she?
It's been a while since I've read it, but I think that whole Easter scene never really happened in the book.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me at this point. So
so I think they wanted her to be a major character, but I don't think it really, from what I remember, it's not even in the book. So, like, it just recast her, like you said, because it being revolved around gods, there's nothing to say that they have to stay the same. Like, Mr. Nancy can turn into fucking spiders and shit. Well, what's to say he has to always come back to the same human form? So I think it's the easiest way to explain out of it.
Yeah, they could have. It just feels they didn't even try a little bit. It's just like, whatever, there you go, that's the thing. Don't worry.
Yeah, they probably had a list of priorities of things to sort out in the off season. That wasn't very high, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to bring the show back, worrying about the story of your show, in my mind, should be somewhat of a priority. So that was probably my biggest complaint. Just these an overall episode, the little niggling things about how they fix these things here. Moving on to the main part of the episode, though, which of course is them arriving at the House of Rock and going to this carousel scene and stuff.
Yeah,
it's really kind of proves the difference of the show and how much faster it's moving. I feel, because as soon as we get there and they're talking up this place and kind of on the road there, Wednesday's talking about it being, describing it as this place, whatever. And then we have a little bit of brief history. And from what I could gather, he's basically saying, pray. It's a bunch of, they erected churches, buildings, praying, all these sorts of things. What's not. And we get there, and as soon as you get there, it's like, okay, all of our characters are now basically gathered under the one roof for the first time. In the first episode, and I feel like if the show had once again been left in other hands, we wouldn't have seen all these characters together until like the last fucking episode or something like that. It feels like they would have kept them apart a lot longer. In fact, I could have seen this being the fucking season 2 finale. They would have stretched out the story that much longer to even bother getting to this point. But yeah, also it is weird that after the season 1 cliffhanger, the first time we see Shadow, his wife, and everyone else in the car, Wednesday and the Irish guy.
Matt Sweeney. Yeah.
Matt Sweeney, thank you.
Yeah.
The first time we see them all, they're just in the car and they've left. Like we never see their follow up or how they leave or what happens there. So we're just left to think.
Yeah, you get that Game of Thrones intro kind of monologue where they're driving across America. Yeah. The animated thing, yeah.
It's like they left. Okay, but whatever, I suppose it's not important. No. But when we get here, you get to see a bunch of other characters arrive as well. So you get Bilquist is showing up here. This is where she was going, although I feel like maybe that was changed because from what I thought in the season 1 finale, I thought it was presented to me that she was on her way to Easter's place as well.
I don't really remember, so it could be the case.
Because Technical Boy talked to her and said you need to do something and then sent her off. So maybe she was always meant to be going to this place.
Possibly,
but then I think about obviously that at the time that was being in the hands of different people, and then I'm like, well, they wouldn't have got to this. They would have got to this house on the rock as fast as they do in season 2. I feel this wouldn't have happened in season 1. So it's like, okay, so they would have set Bilquist off, and then what the fuck is she doing for the X amount of episodes until they would have actually got her to here? I don't. I can't help but do this weird thing at the moment where I keep comparing where the story would have gone potentially compared to what we're actually watching right now. So then you also get the Jinn showing up, and he's been followed.
This is the part I didn't like, Salim and Jinn. Like, I felt like you've said all you've had to say with their relationship. Like, I don't know why he was there. It seemed to serve no purpose whatsoever.
I would agree. But I'm open to seeing if they can do something with it. But based on what we just see in this episode, it doesn't seem like it's necessary at all to have them being there.
What is the Jinn just going to keep on going to what he's doing, and he's just following him around like a clingy lover?
Well, I mean, the Jinn turns up, and at first when we see him, it's like, okay, he's been invited. He's basically the doorman handing out access key cards or coins to this thing. Yeah, that makes sense. That's where he was going when he left Salim. Salim, yeah. That's where it was when he left him in season 1. Okay, that all makes sense. But then Salim turns up. He's been following him around. And rightfully so, the Jinn is like, what the fuck are you doing here? Like, we had our one night fling.
Yeah.
I showed you the world. Yeah. Literally, basically. And fuck off. So I do wonder going forward how that is supposed to work or supposed to be interesting, because I'm kind of on the Jinn side a bit, because it's like, you've been a bit clingy here. I just, look, go away. But then I don't know if they could swing it into the story of like, well, he's kind of obsessed with him. He's not like a god per se, but like a god-like creature character thing. So then he's, in love with the god and obsessed with the god. And of course, that's something they kind of want, is obsession and love and devotion and whatever. Yeah. So it's like, how do you go about handling that? But yeah, we'll see how that all goes down in the future, I suppose. Then they talk about I think they say there's 12 other people there or something along those lines that we don't really get to see much time with until we actually go inside his fucking mind, carousel, whatever thing happening. But so the people that go in are not Mad Sweeney, not Laura, not the Djinn, of course not Celine. These are all the ones that get to stay outside. Everyone else heads inside to the carousel, which is I found to be quite a weird thing. Like in the book, is this basically how it goes down? Or
pretty much, yeah.
They hop in a carousel, everything, and they're like, hey, have a good ride.
Yeah, pretty much.
How's it explained? Like, do they bother even trying to explain?
I don't think so. I think it's just the way they explained it is like how kind of Wednesday explained in the show that in America, the places of power kind of like roadside attractions where like the belief in the power and like all the supernatural shit is kind of concentrated at these focal points. Whereas like say in the old country, like it'll be temples and like you said, Stonehenge and all that kind of stuff in America because it's such a melding of cultures and like all about the money and all that kind of stuff. That's roadside attractions, kind of like I'd say like the Big Banana in Coffs Harbour is a kind of analog, where over there it's like that House on the Rock or whatever. So
I guess
I think it's way to like to a focal point of all the power, so they can do sort of things like that.
Yeah, go into little hidey mind holes, which I'll say. So they go in. Well, hold on. Wednesday stops for a second and he talks to, how the fuck do you say his name? Shersbog, I think it's called. Sherbog. Yeah. However you say his name. The actor's name, I was trying to... Peter Stormare. For that.
Yeah. He starts to talk to Zariah first.
Zora.
Yeah.
Zora.
Yeah. Zora. Yeah.
And then he shows up and, of course, she becomes an important part by the end of the episode. It's like, oh, yeah. I kind of forgot that they were even things because we haven't seen them since like episode 3 or whatever it was for last season.
Also, another fun fact is that they actually filmed it at the House on the Rock too. So it's not a set, Because I was looking like, this is very elaborate for a set, so I did a bit of research and actually filmed it there.
Oh, well, that explains. Because I was about to say, it looked very good. This is probably the best part of the episode, in fact. Them just walking around the corridors and all that stuff. And the carousel also just looks obviously very fucking elaborate and bright lights and everything happening. So
sensory overload.
It's very much so. Then I hate to wonder if other people were shooting this, how much they could play with the sensory overload of it. But so yes, Wednesday stops to talk to him for a bit and then heads off to his carousel thing. And the carousel scene is very cool, but at the same time very weird because you have Mr. Nancy on it and he's like jumps onto it and he's staring off at
they're all staring at Shadow.
Yeah, they're all just staring at Shadow and being like very fucking weird. Like all of a sudden Wednesday's on it, he's being weird. Bill Quist jumps on it, she's like, hey, do you want to jump on? And then he gets on it, Shadow jumps on it, and then we all begin going around. And what's even weirder is once it starts going faster and faster, then we get that one shot that looked like, I don't even know, like it's literally them like in mind space, but they have a quick second where it zooms in on Wednesday flying through it on his horse thing, and it's like his face is like wee, and I was like, this is probably if there's one still from this episode you could cut out of context and just kind of upload to the internet and be like, what the fuck is going on, it would be this shot from this particular episode, because I was like, what was that? It was a
I believe in the book. I believe in the book they all the animals transform into their own form and they fly off into.
Oh really?
The backstage, I'm pretty sure they call it. Yeah.
I think that's what Bill Quist refers to it as. And,
the backstage.
And the second when they all get there as well. So it's like we're backstage and he's
kind of the world beyond the world. Yeah.
Well, she explains it as his memories or whatever, but then it's like I was confused exactly what state or really, because it's.
I think of the way it works is like the Wednesday's hosting it, so it's kind of like the environment is melded to his kind of like stuff. Yeah.
Because she was saying if she was hosting it, would have been
warm in the desert and
all these things,
beds everywhere and fucking
and stuff. Yeah. So I suppose it makes sense that way. When we all get in, I thought this scene was kind of cool at first, but then I was a little bit disappointed with how they decided to do it.
Yeah.
Because walking into the place at first, seeing like everyone off in the distance and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be cool. Just general, this is going to be cool. But then they do, instead of just having them in just cool costumes and makeup and whatever, where they look more like their typical god forms or whatever, they do that shitty stereotypical thing of applying the golden auras or whatever you want to refer to it as. And I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, it was cool to see at first, but as it went on, it was kind of like it didn't look as great the longer it went.
No, I feel like it ruined, in fact, like what you could have had just be cool cool costumes and these sorts of things. So that was a little bit annoying. But overall, it's an important scene, I suppose, because obviously it's like him pitching the war to everyone, saying this is why we need to do it. Nancy's pitching the war to everyone, saying this is why we should all be involved in it as well. And then, of course, Shadow jumps in at the last minute and gives the final hurrah a bit to why
Bellatrix has a kind of like a speech, kind of like you don't really have to fight with them. You can use their stuff to help yourself, like her pretty much using Tinder to increase her influence around and that kind of stuff.
And actually pretty much said join or die, like evolve or die.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, because she's, in a way, working for them, I guess.
Oh, she is. Let's be real.
Yeah. Well, true, yeah. And there's one thing I'm a little bit upset about is that in the book, Miss Nancy has this story to tell about Tiger's testicles, which maybe we get it later in the show, but it's a pretty good story that they've missed out on.
It's a pretty good story.
It is. It's pretty funny.
Well, I hope for you and my sake that we get the Tiger's testicle story later.
Do. I hope we do.
But to pitch it all, Shadow does like the final speech. Doesn't really, I don't know, like it doesn't not help, but doesn't really help that much as well. And then they get transferred back to real world, some pub or restaurant, I suppose, is where they are randomly. And basically everyone that was in the dream state thing or whatever you want to refer to it as is there now, and they're having this conversation. And but the thing I don't understand about this whole thing is because from what I could gather, the reason that they go to Wednesday's dream mind palace thingy is because it's a safe place for them all together and have this conversation and talk. But then they go out of it to a restaurant where he's still trying to convince them all and running around talking to everyone, like pitching the war to everyone, basically, get on my side. Why is he doing that in the real world now? Why wouldn't they just continue having this this conversation in the dream state thing?
I don't know, because you don't get to see this particular scene in the book because Shadow gets kidnapped before they get to this place.
How does it get kidnapped between the...
I don't remember exactly, but I know that he does get kidnapped before all this stuff that's going to happen goes down. So, so I'll have to do a bit of research, Yeah,
because that was the one thing I'm like, why are we, especially knowing what happens where like all these people start dying? I'm like, isn't this why he was trying to do this, from the safety of your mind thing? Like, it doesn't really make sense that we've suddenly jumped to this restaurant, but nonetheless, they do come out to this restaurant. Everyone's all of a sudden there. Everyone got transported there, including Laura, the Djinn, and everyone that was not involved, of course. And everyone's just there.
They're all cool with it. Like,
they're all cool somehow.
How the fuck did I get here?
No one's really asking questions about this apart from Shadow, which is also another weird thing. And with Shadow, I'll say, because this is one thing we're saying, particularly talking about last week, like how will Shadow go this season, and was talking about him in the first season and also the book kind of being that thing of just a surrogate for the viewer or the reader to experience the story. And I feel like they're trying to give him a little bit more to do. Just judging off this, they're giving him a few more, like, bit more of a personality, or simply just being stuck in a state of 100% confusion where he was asking a few more questions and stuff instead of just like sitting there blankly most of the time being like, so I don't see how that, we'll see how that all comes together, I suppose, though. But yeah, there's one funny scene where he's asking questions and then Schnorsborg, or however you say his name, comes along and starts being like, do you want to have best out of 3 so I can leave this fucking place, which I thought was quite funny, because I'm like, you ain't gonna win.
So sorry to interrupt you. Afterwards, Shadow shuttles the gods to the restaurant where Wednesday will be wining and dining them. As he's driving Mama G and two other gods, Mama G and Shadow ask what he thinks of Wednesday's plan, and Shadow tells her not his job to ask questions. When they get to the restaurant, Shadow is stopped by someone asking him for a match before he's hit over the head, restrained, and driven away in a truck.
Okay. But they're still going to the restaurant.
Yeah, they still go to the restaurant. So I guess it's kind of like the after party where he's doing his charm, con stuff on him.
I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. It seems weird to me that you wouldn't, like, because they're still not celebrating. He's still trying to pitch them, is the thing, you know? Like, it's not like, oh, everyone's agreed, let's go celebrate. It's still trying to pitch you on this idea, but I thought it was pitching you idea in the safety, but nonetheless. So what happens is, there's the few conversations that happen. Bilquist talks to Laura at one stage, kisses her, thinks that she's like a god of death or something along those lines, which was an interesting thing. I suppose they're potentially teasing could be a thing, Bilquist and Laura being some
possibly sort of... The way they're being set up as kind of more prominent characters. Well, Laura still is a pretty important character, but Bilquist was barely in the book, so they're setting it up to be more story dependent, I guess. Because I read a quote from Gaiman saying that he didn't spend enough attention on female characters in the book, and this is his way kind of to rectify it in a way.
Well, also kind of makes sense from the TV standpoint, because a lot of people, like, she's one of the standout characters from the first season.
Yeah, definitely.
If not from any point of just, she was obviously one of the most what the fuck is going on characters, so people enjoy seeing her because she's a what the fuck is going on character. So that makes sense, I suppose, having it in it a bit more. Then we cut back here and we see Mr. World. He activates the thing, giant fucking camera eye, can see what's happening in the world, and then basically orders a hit on them all. And then fucking people's faces start getting blown open, limbs get shot off. These bullets are doing real fucking damage, is one way one way to put it. Wednesday, the first time we really see Wednesday in a state of shock and confusion and not being in control, is also the first time in this episode, because up until this point he's always kind of, I have my master plan and no one can teach me anything.
And if you're eagle-eyed enough, you notice that Mad Sweeney slips on blood and misses getting shot.
He what?
He slips on blood and misses getting shot.
Oh, yes. No, I did notice that. Yeah. And then Laura stands up and she gets shot in the shoulder.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that actually means, though.
I don't know what you read into it. I saw someone go, it's implying that dying by getting shot is too lucky for Sweeney or something. So foreshadowing what kind of happens to him, I guess.
Well, yeah, I did notice he slipped, and I was like, especially because they already set up in the early episode, he just, he's banging his head on shit. He's getting like the worst, most simple
luck
for just things like he'd fucking pinch his finger in closing a drawer type thing. His luck's that bad, but he does slip on the blood. Shadow saves Laura, but then she stands up and gets shot anyway. What's the fucking matter? Runs outside, starts having a brawl with the shooter, and then he gets sucked up into a UFO ship.
It's like those cartoons where they step into a rope and they get straight up.
Gets straight up. You don't really see what's happening, and then he's off. But the aftermath, we do get to see what was her name again? I fucking forgot. I had it.
Zora.
She is dead. And Wednesday kind of in shock because has attachment to her and cuddling her dead body. Then we also Schoenborg got him 10 out of 10. He curses really good. Little cursing here where he's like, "You'll fucking fuck your mother, fuck your dad, fuck your." Like he goes on a full rant and spits in their direction. So I'm like, oh, he's part of the team fully now. And he's on board for sure in this war. The other thing I find so interesting about this whole scene and like kind of what it sets up is Wednesday's trying to pitch the war to everyone as a thing they need to be involved in. Yeah. And Mr. World thinks that Wednesday threw the first punch by damaging him in the season finale type thing. But from everyone else's perspective, that from the old gods perspective that's involved in this restaurant now, they're all, as far as I'm aware, they're all going to say that the new gods threw the first punch because they were the ones that shot up this place. So although they lost a lot of characters, it does seem like this is probably the best way to get them all 100% on board for the war, and it's going to turn around kind of in Wednesday's favor. I don't feel like it's something the way he would want it to go, because he does seem generally shocked by the deaths and somewhat upset about it all. But at the same time, it's like he may come out the other end and at least be happy with the outcome, I guess. Yeah. Having more people on his side and being angry about the new gods, which may backfire on World, is other thing I'm thinking. Like, he's like, I'll shoot him up and I'll fucking kidnap
Shadow.
I'll kidnap Shadow. That's my master plan. And I'm like, but is that a good idea? Because now you've kind of helped Wednesday, really, in the long run. So
yeah, you kind of like reinforce their mentality.
Yeah, especially for someone like Schornborg.
Yeah, Schoenberg, yeah.
Schoenberg.
Before he was only there, like, he made a point of saying it multiple times through the episode, I'm only here because I lost checkers.
Yeah, because I lost the checkers game. But now he's there because he wants actual revenge, which is going to breed more fire into his warpath. So helpful, I guess.
Which I can relate to, and goes, can we just play again and I'll win, I'll just kill you and go home.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be here.
He's like, I really don't want to be here. Can we just get this stuff over with, please? But yeah, I thought that in wrapping up thoughts, do you have any other random tidbits that or moments from the episode that you wanted to call out that you thought were good?
I noticed a lot during the episode that they're using more dialogue from the book as opposed to adapting it.
That would be Gaiman's more involvement.
Yeah, which is kind of good. And yeah, Schoenberg, I think another thing I noticed too is that he didn't have his true form. He still had like normal civilian clothes on, as opposed to where all the other gods in the Mind Palace were in their, I guess, their traditional kind of dress. Yeah, and so
Odin had his eye.
Yeah, his eye and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he's done more leading into that don't give a fuck attitude. Another thing to take note of too, I found with the fortunes they got before they went in.
Laura didn't get one.
No, and then all the one the Shadow got and stuff, and then Shadow was and ahhing over it, and Nancy goes, "It's a fucking fortune for a wax statue," which is quite funny. You can read into that however you want. But other than that, yeah, I thought it was overall pretty good. I'm excited for the next episode now.
That's good. I'll say my last thing is I forgot how much I enjoy Emily Browning as Laura kind of in this show, because I really enjoy her fuck you attitude that she's kind of had in this show from start to finish, apart from obviously the first episode we see her where she's a bit confused because she's dead or whatever. But once she kind of accepted and got into her, I'm a fucking walking corpse. She's always been on this one woman path of destruction and kind of mission and whatever. So, and in this thing, her interact finally with Wednesday, and they have that little bit of back and forth, and she's like, fuck you and your glass eye or whatever she says. So I quite enjoyed that. Seeing more of Orlando Jones as Mr. Nancy is good. He's going to be more involved in the show from what I can gather as well, because he's going to be part of the ongoing journey, it seems. Also interesting, going back to like last week's pre-season 2 episode, in the opening credits, he's there as a credited as supervising like consultant or something along those lines.
I missed that.
Yeah. So if you watch the opening credits, he's credited in the opening credits, and he will be every episode from now as like a consultant of some sort, which is them covering the whole. Apparently, him helping with the writing in episodes and stuff. So that was like another little bit of behind the scenes.
Has he done much writing beforehand?
Yeah, he's done a couple things. Nothing like particularly stand out from what I could gather, but I know he's done a little bit here and there. And it's not really about what he's done. It's more like he's got the credit training or whatever where they can pay him, and it covers the like they were not going to get in trouble from the whatever people,
the SAG or whatever,
the SAG and stuff like that. So that's kind of what it covers. And I'm excited for next week. I thought overall it was a fine episode. I feel like it's a little bit of a different show, but at the same time it's like we lose some things, we gain some things. I don't know, like compared to it just getting cancelled, am I going to be happy with just having a little bit of a lesser show that's just more plain, less experimental TV and experimental storytelling? I'd rather the former of it continuing the way it was in season 1, but I'll take this show over it being cancelled, I guess.
It's certainly a difference, but it's not different enough to make you wish it hadn't happened at all.
Plus, all the actors and actresses involved are just really, really good, and just enjoying them.
Yeah, they regardless of what you hear from the back scene, like the quality of the acting hasn't really gone down at all.
No.
So you can tell they're still putting in the effort and have, I guess, pride in it, I guess.
Which is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, until next week. Next week's episode called The Beguiling Man. We'll see you then, of course. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Viewing Gods. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. You can talk to Nick on Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. You can watch this show on youtube.com/Explosion Network if you're not already. If you're over there, don't forget to give it a thumbs up down below, or you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting services if that's the way you'd like to go about it. Of course, you can find this show, many links on how to watch or end or view it, and other great content, including our movie and TV podcast, What Do You Want to Watch, over at explosionnetwork.com. Bye-bye. See you next week.
Swipe left on Umbilicus.
I really should just make that the going end tag, I suppose.